Welcome to the official ArtPrize podcast, a limited series going behind the scenes of Grand Rapids' premier art competition. I'm your host, Steve Kelso. I'm a former ArtPrize reporter for Wood TV8, a former ArtPrize artist, and the owner of Kelso Communications, a proud ArtPrize sponsor. In this series, I'm talking with the artists, the organizers, and the decision makers shaping ArtPrize 16. Hello and welcome to another edition of the ArtPrize podcast. Today, I am fortunate to be joined by Birgit Klohs, who is the former CEO of the rightplace.org. And you were telling me tell me about what you're up to now.
I am the co-founder and executive chair of the New Community Transformation Fund, which is a venture capital fund that invests in underserved entrepreneurs in West Michigan. And we're starting Fund 2 and we're investing all over the state now.
Fantastic. So you were saying you have rewired,
I have rewired, I have not retired. No.
The one question that kept coming to my mind when I wanted to talk to you about ArtPrize is, I want to know how you first found out about the original ArtPrize, who originally told you, and what was your original reaction to the news of what ArtPrize was, and did you share it honestly?
I remember very well the day when I found out about it. I got a call from the ArtPrize folks at Right Place. I was still in the Waters building on the mezzanine, and I couldn't figure out what it was. You know, it was art in the community. And I'm like, okay, what does that really mean? I didn't know. I remember talking to my team about it and saying, well, let's see what this is, right? And I love art. So, to me, this was a kind of a cool idea, but I had no idea what it was going to be. And neither did anybody else for that matter. But it turned out that it was really innovative, right? Very available to a broad part of the population. What I thought about ArtPrize when it started, and it was so underestimated that first time. I remember nobody knew what it was going to be. Right. All the restaurants ran out of food, remember? Everybody ran out of food on Sunday afternoon because nobody was prepared. And I don't think Rick, as the founder, and the group around him didn't know how big it was going to be either.
Right.
I mean, restaurants closed because they had no food. Right. And then it became this massive, everybody came downtown. I've never seen so many people downtown until recently when the arena is open and the amphitheater is open, right? It was flooded. You couldn't go anywhere. It was great. So it turned into something way more than anybody expected and anybody really anticipated. And to me, it was the economic impact to me from ArtPrize was, folks, when I first went out on the street to do ArtPrize, because I was working downtown, so people are everywhere. And I said, why are you down here? Well, I haven't been downtown Grand Rapids in years, right? It meant to people they came downtown from all over West Michigan who hadn't been in downtown GR in a long, long time and didn't really know what it was. Maybe it wasn't safe. But this brought them with their children, their grandmothers, it was all generations, all kinds of people experiencing art because it wasn't intimidating.
Yeah.
It was accessible. And it was free. You could, maybe you like art, maybe you don't, maybe you like something, maybe you didn't. But you could experience it at your own pace without being intimidated, without being judged. And vote. And you had to vote in it. And you had a voice in it, what you liked. I thought it was... That
fact alone, the fact that the public could say what was important to them.
And art can be intimidating. I mean,
Right.
The art museum, I love the art museum. I love art. We go to art museums all the time, but not everybody does this. This made art accessible to everybody. And to me, that was the genius behind the whole thing.
And something else you said is that it made downtown accessible to everyone.
Correct.
I don't know about the timing exactly, but there obviously has been an intentional push in the city of Grand Rapids and through Kent County to get more people downtown. We go back to the opening of Van Andel Arena, right?
30 years in October.
Right. So ArtPrize comes along at a point where DeVos Place has been open for maybe, 4 or 5 years?
Yep. And the arena was open for about 10-ish, right?
Yep. So people are already starting to get this idea and this notion of coming downtown. ArtPrize ends up playing a big role in that, doesn't it?
It does. It did to me, because when you go to the arena, you park and you go to the arena, you do your event, you go to dinner. But ArtPrize made you actually walk around, right? Yeah. Because the installations were in the convention center. They were in banks. They were on the street. They were in a hotel. They were all over the streets. And so you walked downtown Grand Rapids, over the bridge, over to the Public Museum, the Fort Museum. You walked the city and you started experiencing what we had done over these years to the city to make it walkable, accessible, safe. And so people experienced something that they hadn't done in a long time.
For many, it was probably the first time.
I talked to people from Cedar Springs. I remember this like yesterday, that said, we haven't been down here ever. Because there was no reason.
There's no reason.
There's no reason. If you don't work down here and you're living in Cedar Springs or Lowell or Ada or Allendale, you do your shopping in your neighborhood, right? You get your entertainment maybe at the movies. But unless you work down here and you go to the arena specifically, and there wasn't an arena for many years either.
Right.
Why are you coming downtown? Okay. And so this brought people back downtown, and it became the biggest 2 weeks. And I think this is the huge economic impact. The biggest 2 weeks in the restaurant scene in downtown Grand Rapids.
Yeah, I've heard restaurateurs call it their 13th month.
Correct, exactly. They do.
That makes their whole rent,
yes,
their whole...
Correct. It's like Black Friday for retail. Yeah. It used to be, right? It is their 13th month.
It's the thing that covers everything. And particularly
at a time when, at the tail end, at the end of the summer, when people are coming back from vacation, going back to work, you're starting to think about, what am I going to do in the fall? So yeah, I mean, the restaurants loved it.
Sure.
Early on, it was like, what are we doing? But then once it became clear that, these folks are coming downtown and they're going to have a beer or a burger, or, it really made sense.
Beyond I say it's fairly easy to track the economic impact, but I say that as a person who all I have to do is open up the reports from GVSU and see. So it's fairly easy to see the economic impact and growth and the millions and tens of millions of dollars that get left behind by an ArtPrize crowd coming in. But from like the Right Place's perspective, you are charged with bringing other businesses to this area. And I would imagine that a lot of businesses, if they're going to bring a large number of employees here, they have to be able to convince those employees that this is a great place. Yeah, that this is a great place to raise their families.
Well, we used to call it quality of life, and now we call it placemaking, right? And it used to be that if a new company came in, and you, Steve, got transferred from Oklahoma City to Grand Rapids, you say, yes, sir, I'm going, right?
Right.
That's not the case anymore.
Right. They
for
don't
the last
do that.
20 years or so. It's more of, we have an opportunity for you in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and you're like, where is that? And what is it? And how is it? And does my family like it? Are the schools good? What else is there to do for me? And what kind of a vibe does the city really have, right? And so to some, that placemaking may be playing golf or going to the opera. For others, it's art. So when you look at the whole picture now of Grand Rapids, between the arena, the amphitheater, ArtPrize, we have Meyer Garden. I'm leaving some out, you know what I mean? But we have a really wonderful, wonderful placemaking where if you can't find something to do here today, then you're not looking, okay? And I think ArtPrize is a good opener for all of that, come and experience the city when it's really alive. But I'll tell you a quick story, because it's about 10, 11 years old. And so you remember Switch, and Switch came and bought the pyramid. When they came, I met the senior team, 5, 6, 7 folks, during ArtPrize 11 years ago.
So that whole deal is
So
how many employees came with that?
I don't know how many they have now, but the fact was they were here during ArtPrize. It's late afternoon on a whatever day of the week it was. It was early October. It was a beautiful day like today. It was a pristine Michigan day, and the city was packed.
Yeah.
And so they flew in on their private plane. They stayed at the Amway, and I got invited to meet them. They were having a beer at the Ruth Chris, right, in the bar. And so one of my team members then, today it's Megan Rydecki, then it was Megan Saul, said, Birgit, I just met these people. Would you please come and join me? Because she was part of my team. And I said, sure. They want to meet the CEO of The Right Place. Great. So they were totally blown away that this mid-sized, mid-American city had all these people walking around looking at art. Okay. Now, that wasn't the only thing that was interesting because they obviously bought the building. And we needed to do a lot of work before they actually made that deal. But they were totally amazed by the vibrancy of Grand Rapids on that particular day. And ArtPrize was part of that, right? You don't know what kind of goes through somebody's mind because you don't want to be someplace where there isn't liveliness, where there isn't something that you can embrace. And so it certainly impressed them. In fact, I ran into one of them at an event recently. He retired here.
Retired here?
He retired here.
Relocated and retired here?
Correct.
Huh.
Yeah. And he still remembers ArtPrize and what that said to him. He told me this at a big event over here at Davos.
And that's really not surprising because remember those first years, people were just in awe walking around downtown.
But even I have friends over in the Detroit area. We serve on a board together. They come every year.
Yeah.
They come every year. They go to the board meeting here, and then they say, we're now going down to Grand Rapids and go to ArtPrize. They come every year.
It's just become their thing.
It's become their thing. And then they tell other people about it. It's become their thing. So, and I think like we said a little earlier, it's in a refresh stage, and I really hope that they make it because I do believe it's a really, really important part of the culture of the community.
Yeah, I think there's some things that people don't understand about ArtPrize. I think a lot of people out there still believe that there's a lot of family money behind it, and that's not the case anymore.
No.
And honestly, we're almost at a point now where if we want this to continue, it's really kind of on us.
We got to do crowdfunding.
Yeah, and it can be $5 or $10 from each of us, or
yeah. I mean. No, the families have started it. Okay, I looked at this like a venture, right? So they gave us venture capital to start a new venture that took off, right, and was very successful, and continues to be. But now we need to re-up it, right? It was innovative. It grew immensely. It matured as an event. Now it needs to go to the next level, and that requires financial resources for more than just one family. Right.
And the next level to you is?
To really bring it back to, in my mind, it needs to go back to being accessible, having people be able to vote, to really re-engage with the community and say this is open to all. And yeah, I think they have, 1,000 artists signed up this year? Yeah.
Yeah, for the first time in several years.
Yes, right. So it's obviously coming back, right? And I think that's really important because it's a community event now that people expect to see.
And really, when we talk about ArtPrize outside of our community, to friends, family members who may want to come visit, we talk about it as though it's ours.
Yeah, of course.
And so maybe it's time we take a stake in it somehow.
Well, I mean, it is ours now, right? I mean, we have to embrace it to continue to make it successful. And that means, what does that mean to you? What does that mean to me? I know they're raising money in the community, and I really do believe it's a very important asset in our community. And our, like we said earlier, our downtown businesses, especially restaurants, depend on it. They really count on folks coming downtown. Okay. And so from that aspect, it's an economic driver.
Yeah, hotel nights are big.
Hotel nights, restaurants, you name it.
The ancillaries that everybody...
Yeah, there's lots of, the ice cream parlor, the the food trucks.
Yep, the gas station, everything.
It drives a lot. And people have to also remember it's new money into town.
Right.
It's new money into town.
And it stays
here. If my
here.
friends come from Detroit to spend 2 nights here to go to ArtPrize and have dinner, that is new money. There's a leverage to that money. It's not just something that rotates around the community.
Right.
So it's very important. It's new. It's like when you sell a ticket at the amphitheater and somebody comes from Indianapolis. I sat behind somebody the other day who came from all the way down there because it's not that, and then you spend the night, etc.
Right, and people will travel to see their band.
Absolutely,
right?
They will.
So.
Absolutely. I sat in front of somebody from Brighton at a con. Oh, I've never been here. Didn't know what this was. Heard of that's the other thing, I think. We particularly in the southeast side of Michigan, sometimes people say, oh, I haven't been in Grand Rapids in years, or maybe never. And then they come to ArtPrize like, oh, wow, this is a cool town. So it has this effort, this reaction that changes the perception of Grand Rapids. That's the other thing I think that's important.
Yeah, and outside of Grand Rapids, that
Correct.
Perception changes.
Yeah, exactly. You're changing the perception that this is a really alive city with lots to do, that embraces the arts. And I think that's a really good perception changer.
Favorite piece of ArtPrize art you ever saw?
Oh boy. Actually, the beautiful piece that's the fabric art that won the prize one year from the woman up north.
Yeah, I can't remember her name. Loveless, I believe, was her last name.
And she had a whole series of them. I think it was at the Ford Museum.
Yep, it was.
Yeah. I did like Nessie, but that was fun. Yeah,
that was fun.
And it should be fun.
And I think sometimes that's when people get this attitude that it's not the same as it used to be because they don't see a giant steam pig or a table and chair on the Blue Bridge. But I don't think ArtPrize was ever meant to be what it was supposed to be, and that it was always supposed to be changing every year,
but that's
right?
art. That's art. If you go through any art museum, you have so many different rooms with different kinds of art. And so this is the same thing, except it's in the open. It's outside, or it's in DeVos Place. But art changes. And it also is the artist, right? How does he or she look at the world, right? It can't stay the same.
You can't go to the museum and have an opportunity to chat with Rembrandt.
No, exactly.
About what he was thinking.
Right. No, but you have an opportunity. You can. What made you do this? Or I think Eddie does a great job in curating at DeVos Place. I really do. He always has very, very insightful art.
Yeah, he's a big art fan.
He's a big art fan, and does a really good job curating. Okay, so, but it's exciting that there are 1,000 artists back again.
Yeah.
So I hope that people come back downtown and experience it.
What are you most looking forward to this year?
Well, unfortunately, I'm not going to be here. It's really a bummer the way we have a travel schedule that didn't comport. So unfortunately, the other thing that I loved in the last few years is the fashion show at the end. R.C. Kalin is an artist.
Right.
Fashion is also art in my mind.
And fashion's a big part of this year. Correct.
And R.C.'s fashion is art. And we always loved going to his fashion show because it's so artistic, right? It's colorful, it's creative, it's innovative. So yeah, I think the fashion show is a huge part for me always.
Fantastic. Yeah. Thanks for joining me today.
It's my pleasure.
It's been a great conversation. I've been looking forward to it for some time.
Thanks, Steve. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the official ArtPrize podcast. Make sure to download the ArtPrize app and cast your votes. Visit artprize.org for more information.